No, more floor stuff. I got this bottom cleaned up a little bit so it fits better. On the other side, it's looking pretty good for a home gamer like me, right? So got those front by the discs kind of closer. There might be a little bit of a gap. We can deal with that when the time comes. But really, it fits close enough that I don't want to start cutting anymore until I can tack it in place and then cut pieces out as we weld it in, right? So I'll find a spot like those two indents, those two circles that are stamped in, get them kind of tacked in and lined up correctly so we know the rest of it's lined up correctly, and then we can bang on things, flex on things, cut pieces out as we work our way across. I can't put that on until I weld a new nut in for the K-member anyway, so I can go ahead and pop it back out. Maybe I'll vacuum up all of the metal and crap that I've put into the doors to try to clean that up a little bit, stay on top of it, and then I think it's time to start taking other things apart and getting them ready, right? So I've still got to press the bushings out of the control arms down there. Still got to take all the rear brakes apart, take the bearings apart, clean this rear arm off. I ordered new bushings too, because it's like if that thing's off, that's really the only part you'd ever have to take it off again for, is to replace those bushings. So, and item number 2, contemplating grabbing a blaster for the end of the power washer and do crushed glass, because it doesn't, it gets wet, it doesn't gum up like sand does. So that might be the ticket for this swing arm, so trying to wire wheel the thing off, because I'm not going to be able to get into all the little corners. It's going to suck either way. But yeah, so that's how we'll move forward. Hey, all this stuff came apart pretty easy. I'll have to look it up, because I don't remember the bearings just coming off the race, just sliding off that. Maybe it's not an interference fit. Maybe it just relies on the tension and that conical front bearing to kind of keep things from weevil wobbling around. So yeah. Hopefully I don't need stubs. So we'll see if those normally need to be pressed on. So for some reason, maybe I'm thinking of a different car, but I seem to recall the brake coming off, leaving a race behind, and having to cut it. But maybe I may be thinking of front hubs as well. So we'll give it a peek. I can't imagine stubs are that expensive if these ones are worn out, but hopefully that's not the case. I mean, they had nice grease and stuff in it, so somebody's been taking care of this. So, I think all the parts are in there. I want to degrease them. The parts washer's all tucked away. Everything's tucked away. So maybe I'll do a little shuffle and try to get that out of here, clean up the garage a little bit, just to make things a little more habitable going forward. And then we'll get everything pressed out that needs to press out. I'm not sure these are I'm gonna be able to get these up in the press. I'm gonna have to figure out something else with them. Okay, it's been a couple of days, 2 days, I don't know. But I went to a buddy Jeff's. He had some glass bead that's not glass bead. So apparently they just call this glass bead, and it's not. It's actually crushed glass. So he bought actual glass bead from an actual supplier instead of the China store, and sold me these for half off. So got a good price on 100 pounds. And then on Tuesday, so yeah, 3 days from now, I'll get that attachment for the pressure washer, and we'll give that a try on that rear beam. That's the bulkiest thing. It's rusty and gross. Whoopsie daisy. Anyway, yeah, so I'd like to do the K-member and some other parts as well, but we'll focus on this guy for the time being. So I'll need to get those dust shields off. They're pretty beat up, but well, they're really not that bad. There's no holes in them. They're just surfaces, but those can be done in the cabinet. So, but if we can get that beam cleaned up and painted, I ordered some chassis coat of the Pour 15. So with the beam, we'll use the metal prep the as directed. You know, we'll actually follow the directions. We'll use this. We'll rinse it off. We'll dry it. We'll paint the Pour 15 on and see how that holds up, instead of making up our own methods and then hoping that they work. Oh, pop the breaker. So I had to vacuum and the compressor on the same. I was just blasting the zinc off of these because I've welded zinc too close to my face before, and it really makes you feel awful. Don't do it. So I just throw them in the blaster and zap them off. Muriatic acid will do it too, but this only took long enough to pop the breaker. So yeah, works pretty good. So next time, extension cord, instead of in the wall outlet outside here, I'll have to put it up on the deck to make sure that doesn't happen. Okay, so I started blasting this one control arm. You know, got the bushings out of it and whatnot. I also had to do a little bit of lawnmower work. You know, there's a whole pile of stuff that I need to catch up on. So we do have the nuts though. So now the coating's off of these. I think tomorrow we'll go ahead and get them welded in. These had a pretty tall nut, so I think what we'll do is we're gonna take two of these, get them on the bolt, weld the nuts together, right? Then take them back off the bolt so we know the threads are okay. And then use the bolt itself with some spacers to pinch this thing in place, weld it on the inside, and take the bolt out. These go to 90 foot-pounds or so, like 143 newtons, I think. We'll have to look it up. Well, you can look it up now. We got books and books. That's heavy. Hold on. Okay, parts, stuff. Should have, yeah, Corrado repair manual. So the subframe the K-member will be the same. Just need to figure out which binder, and then we'll get back to it. Oh, look at that. I have them color-coded by which binder they're in. This stuff's pretty old, so I haven't been in here in a long time. But suspension, steering body, I don't know which one it would actually be under. I would think it would be in suspension, but blue number 2. Yeah, all right, we'll see what we can find. So here we go. Subframe mounting and repairing, page 40.5. Front and rear bolts, I'm 12 by 1.5. This says they're both 95 for length, so it's a Corrado manual, not a Jetta manual, so close enough. But thread part number, where's the torque? Tightening torque for the replacement bolts remains the same as for the original fasteners. Oh, we gotta find that part too. Okay, here we go. So the front control arm bolt, 96 foot-pounds. The K-member bolt that goes up into the repaired area where the nuts are still good, 96 foot-pounds. Same thing through the control arm on the bolts we're putting in, 96 foot-pounds. These are 10.9, they're hardened. So these are not, right? That's why we're going to use two of them. One of these by itself is not going to have a good time with 96 foot-pounds, but two of them together, they'll be just fine. Okay, this stuff's still a little tacky. It doesn't come off on my finger, but you can feel it tack, tack, tack. So I don't want it outside quite yet. It's just ridiculously humid though. But I got my Corda top coat, we'll brush on, and then we got the blasting thingy. And it says right there, see? A blaster new. That's the, yep. Then I go get a razor blade. Yeah, I mean, just looks like the picture. It's a hose, suck the media up with. Yeah, I trust these 100% not. I wonder if they're even marked. No, so just plastic. Goodbye. We'll use real ones. Thank you very much. Looks like we got a tip. We got some thumb usable hose clamps. And this is why I paid a little bit extra for this one. I think there's one that was like $25 and this one was $35. Is that this one was all metal. All of it was metal. So tips inside, big brass part. Not that that abrasive wouldn't just burn through the brass anyway. It's got a pickup tube. This is the style they used to have in those China blast cabinet before they switch to the single tube. So this should work fine. Now we'll just stick it straight down in that bucket. Now this is what I'm talking about. Free random gift item. Share your user experience online. Mail. Like mail what? Mail this? Random free Amazon gift. You know what it is then if I send this in, I get some crap for free, and then they post under my name a review. Or I don't want your free gift. Okay, so got the book back out to look at the tool for those rear bushings, and it looks like we could probably just get away with using a 2-jaw puller, which I've got hanging around. We'll see how that works out. And then this flange needs to point towards the front, so this part goes to the front. They got some stuff about installing the brackets at a certain angle, and then there's a point when you torque them down, they're supposed to be in some kind of you need to pre-tension them, right? So must be pre-tensioned in the installation position. So I'll look into that a little more, but I would guess what it means is that there's a description where you pry, once it's in place and the bolts are in, you pry on it until some stuff touches, and then you torque it down. So, and that's just so that when you put the car on the ground, this isn't trying to twist too much. It should be when the car is sitting stable that this is neutral and isn't pre-tensioned in either direction. So yeah, we'll see how that works out. Probably what we'll do is when the rear beam goes back on, we'll get the car horizontal again before we tighten that stuff up. Well, I pushed the rubber part out and then made this guy my special tool, right, that keeps it centered, right, and should push this guy through. Well, all it did is curl over that big ass thick piece of the bar. So I think I'm just going to have to heat the shit out of it and beat it with a hammer to try to get that one out. Then clean it up real nice, and maybe we can't really heat it to put the new one in because we don't want to screw the rubber up. So we'll see how this goes. Okay, between heat and the air hammer, those are both out. What I might do before I commit to blasting this thing off is see what guys like me are doing as a solution to push these back together. I mean, like maybe they go together nice. I'll have to clean up some of the burrs from my attempt from the air hammer banging on it, but just yeah, they're definitely pressed. Like, I don't want to clean this up and paint it and then not be able to get these on. So I'll make sure those go well first, eat some dinner, and then I think we'll come out once we're confident we can put her back together, and we'll get the blasting adapter out and see how it works. Now, there is a lot of space on the outside of this where I could use a wire wheel, so I may hit those areas first just to conserve media. I think that's probably worth it, because this stuff's just it comes out the nozzle and you'll never see it again. So yeah, we'll make a decision. Okay, so I've collected the bulkier items that I want to blast, and I did a little bit right here with that wire wheel, you know, maybe 10 seconds worth. It didn't really take a lot of effort. It's just one of those, like, it's loud, it's kind of obnoxious, and if we can just spray off the same section in half the time with less effort, you know, more power to us. We'll do the whole beam. So I think first thing I'm gonna do is get everything loose off just with water. I'm gonna spray the snot out of these here in the driveway. Then we'll take this beam in the grass. I don't want to spray that stuff onto the driveway. I was thinking about it, and I think if I get too close, I might start cutting holes in the asphalt. So yeah, we'll just we'll see how it goes. I'll grab the camera once I switch things up. Also, I broke the pull cord yesterday, so now we've been upgraded to electric start, and it's pretty sketchy, right? It's clockwise, 19 millimeter, and you don't want it on there too far, because as soon as it fires, you gotta get this thing off so we don't do anything bad to the drill. Not bad. Give her half choke. Almost. Almost. It sure is easier than pull starting. It's a lot more fun. Nope. I need two hands so I can operate the choke, but you get the idea. So far, I'm not impressed at all with this thing. I mean, it certainly spits out some media, right? I mean, I got glass all over this thing. Here's a spot that we hit with that compared to the wire wheel, and it did an okay job, but it's just uses so much goddamn media to do what's almost nothing. I mean, look at this strip right here that I pushed across. Like it's a little teeny tiny bit that it took off the rust in the paint. I mean, this stuff isn't super tough. It should take off rust a lot faster than that. So I don't know if the tip just sucks. Like, you know what it is I paid $35 for it. That's what it is, and you're not going to get free lunch. So maybe I'll pull a controller out here and try that. Just see if maybe we got one tough cookie on this rear beam, but all's worth a shot. Okay, so second go round, did a little bit of this controller, and it made quicker work of that, like quicker, not quick enough, right? So for the half-assed amount of, like, this thing stripped pretty well, right? Thin metal with thin paint. You know, this other stuff, it's just not worth it. You look at how much media I've used, right? So maybe a quarter. So maybe I've sprayed 10 pounds. Yeah, maybe a little less. Call it 8 pounds, just to be, you know, to give it a little bit of credit. But 8 pounds to do almost fucking nothing. What am I gonna? I'm gonna go spend hundreds of dollars on glass to spray it all over my yard. It's stupid. It's just fucking stupid. So I don't know if I can return that thing. It was $35. Who cares? I'll repurpose it for something else. If anything, maybe that pickup tube's nicer and I can use it in the blasting cabinet. So, yeah. I wonder if I can turn it into an outdoor blaster that doesn't suck. It just blows my mind that you can have a pressure washer capable of 2,600 PSI and it does a worse job than my blasting cabinet at 80 PSI of air pressure. It's dumb. Oh well. Better me than you, right? Don't buy one.